Namaste and welcome to our beginner's yoga practice. Now, for those of you who haven't practiced yoga before, this is a perfect place to start. But even for those who've practiced some of our other classes or tried some practices elsewhere, you're going to learn some stuff from today, and it's a great introduction into what we're trying to achieve at Switch with some of your more holistic workouts and training sessions. So what we're going to begin is talking about breath and the importance of breath and mindset within practice, and what we often term it as intention. So within our yoga practice, we often use the word intention when trying to set an intention before our practice, and that's what we're going to do today. Excuse me. Now, what I'm going to focus on today is a more anatomical look at the way in which yoga can help you. Now, for most of us, because of the lives we live in the West, we often exhibit the same aches, pains, injuries, problems, muscle dysfunctions. And we can use yoga as a fantastic tool to help correct many of those issues. So if you suffer from lower back pain, which many of us do, at some point through our lives, we suffer intermittent back pain. Some of us chronic, consistent, persistent back pain. And we're going to look at that today and some of the causes for that and ways in which we can correct it. But also, if you're particularly looking at strengthening the tummy muscles, strengthening the bum, maybe even toning those two areas, today will be a perfect insight into how yoga can help that. So, as we've said, let's set our intention. Now, the intention of today's practice is to make peace with muscles. Now, I want to clarify and just kind of look into a little bit more before we begin. So when I talk about making peace with muscles, we're essentially talking about calming them down. So your muscles are often not just short or tight, but they're aggravated. They're under constant spasm, constant contraction. And that's because they're under constant stimulation from your nervous system. Now that is often because we're sat in areas of stress. If we sit down much through our day, if we spend a lot of time in the car, a lot of time at the office, a lot of time at home sat down, we put our body in uneven, unnatural positions. Positions that cause muscles in our hip flexors to become very tight. And then positions that aggravate the back of the legs. And we'll revisit that later, this kind of spasmy contraction feeling that we can get in the hamstrings. So when we talk about setting our intention to make peace with those muscles, don't think of it as anything spiritual or anything like that, because I know when I often talk like that, people can roll their eyes. Let's talk about it or assume that we're talking about relaxing, making peace, making those muscles come to a place of ease, a place of calmness. And that's what we're going to set for today. So there'll be times through our practice where I'll ask you to close your eyes. I'll ask you to let your mind focus in a certain specific area. Now that may be the hips, it may be the hamstrings, it may be the lower back, but I want you to close your eyes. I want you to clear the mind of any clutter, any stress of family, friends, children, work, and I want you to focus on that area, and then I want you to breathe through that area. When we focus the mind to relax certain areas, we can have a defined effect on that tissue. That's fact. Our minds can take control of tissue, and because we attach an emotion to stretching, to releasing the tissue, the muscle will relax. So that becomes our intention today. Not strength, not force, not stretching, not pushing muscles or forcing them to open up more. It's actually to relax, to breathe, and then as the muscle calms, we make peace, we deepen our practice. Okay, right, to do that, let's get us in the right mindset, the right emotional state, and then we can set our intention. So if you have a block, it would be great because we're going to get you to prop yourself up onto a block. Using blocks are really good because, one, they can help align us, but because they don't force our body to be in too extreme, uncomfortable postures, it means that particularly when we're sat up, we're not stressing the hips. They get to just lengthen and elongate a little bit more. So if you have a block, sit up onto it. If not, roll the blanket over 2 or 3 times, bring a blanket or a few cushions into play, and it'll just lift your pelvis up 2 or 3 inches off the floor. That means we can cross our heels in front of us, and then we can just begin to relax down. So first of all, I don't want you to think about posture. Just want you to get a little bit mobile with it. Just feel into the shoulders, feel into the hips, maybe roll the wrists a little bit. So relax off, a few little rolls to the neck. Gently look from side to side. Nothing too kind of emphatic, just nice and easy. Relax. Okay, let's align us. Best way to align us is to really focus on how the spine sits. So if you close your eyes, and I want you to slouch forward, place your hands onto the mat. And then here, I want you to take 3 really deep, long, calming breaths. So take a deep breath in, all the way in, all the way in, all the way in, all the way in, and all the way out. Do that again. Breathe in, breathe all the way in, all the way in, all the way in, all the way in, all the way in. Breathe all the way out. Last time, breathe all the way in. Now this time as you breathe out, I want you to think of where your lowest part of the spine, base of your spine. Very slowly, I want you to peel the spine so it begins to erect. But you're going to place one vertebrae on top of another. And as you do that, you can open your eyes towards me just for a moment. We're not arching the spine back, we're just lifting it nice and tall. Sink the shoulder blades down. And what we should have is we just gently rock back over to find our seat bones. So that's right at the bottom of our pelvis underneath our hips. So we rock ourselves back just a little. And what you'll find is you'll feel the tummy muscles ignite. Very key to what we're doing today, that. So we're not slouching forward. We've sat up nice and tall, and then we've just gently tucked the heart so it sits over the hips. Then, don't lift the chin, retract the head back, head over heart. Shoulder blades, sink them down. I want you to close your eyes. Just for a few moments, begin to notice how the body feels. So from our pelvis, from our hips, all the way lengthening up the spine to the heart, and then from the heart all the way to the crown of our head, top of our head. Remember, the chin isn't searching forward, it's retracted back. Our ears should just be sat over our shoulders, not in front of. And now I want you to place your lips together. And again, we're going to take 3 really nice, long, deep breaths. So this time as you breathe in, I want you to push air into the belly. And you'll feel it expand. If you're unsure what I mean, just open your eyes and look to me. So my tummy inflates. Continue to breathe in, let the rib cage inflate. And fill even more air now into the lungs. We feel this swell of air through us. As we breathe out, don't arch the spine, sit it nice and tall. We don't need movement through the shoulders. Just let all that air drain from us. Okay, let's do that again. So breathe in, flood air into the belly, keep the spine tall. Then the rib cage, and the lungs. Hold for a moment, and then slowly breathe out from the lungs. Now the rib cage, feel that contracts. Continue to blow out, 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 out. And I want you to think of the belly button, the navel, suck it tight to the spine. So we extinguish every particle of air out of us. Okay, do that again. Breathe in, flood air into the belly. The rib cage, the lungs, and breathe out. And the shoulder blades are nice and gently sunk down the spine. Keep your eyes closed. Just for a few minutes, I want you to enjoy the silence. Remember, we want our mind to be at peace, to enable our body to unlock, find peace within the tissue. Often we find that silence feels very uncomfortable. Our minds are so cluttered, we're so used to stimulation. But essentially, because our lives are filled with stimulation, filled with distraction, right now is what we need most. Peace, calm, stillness, silence. Okay, I want to unwind us now from the shoulders. I want you to breathe in. Draw the shoulders as high as we can towards the ears. Breathe out, let the shoulders sink all the way down the spine. Breathe in, draw the shoulders as high up towards our ears as we can. Breathe out, sink them all the way down the spine. Breathe in, draw the shoulders as high as we can towards the ears. Breathe out, sink them all the way down the spine. Okay, just gently drop our head over towards your right shoulder, so mirror me. So the ear sinks down to that shoulder. Make sure the spine still sits erect and tall. I want you to breathe in, gently rock the head round the back. Breathe out and let it pass forward. Breathe in, roll it round the back. Breathe out and let it pass forward. Breathe in, roll round the back. Breathe out, pass forward. Breathe in. Breathe out. One final breath. Breathe in. Breathe out. Sit the spine nice and tall. Return the head to the center. Drop the head over to your left shoulder to mirror me. And again, breathe in, roll the neck round the back. Breathe out and let it pass forward. Now what I want you to do is really focus on breath for a minute. And just be sure that your breath precedes the movement. So you breathe, then you begin to move. So we breathe in, we roll around the back. As we breathe out, we then roll forward. Just once more. That nice unwinding flow. Relax. Okay, return our head to the center. Mind should be nice and clear. You're going to place your right palm down to the mat to mirror me, left hand into the air. Breathe in, reach up. And then breathe out, just gently arch over. Feel free to open your eyes now. Now be sure that you don't twist forward. So we can even look underneath the right shoulder if we wish. If you want to drop all the way down to the forearm, then do so. You don't need to. Remember, we are set up onto our block. Right palm onto the mat, sink the shoulder blades down, lift the crown and the head nice and tall. And then as we breathe in, left palm onto the mat, right hand into the air to mirror me, and reach over to the one side, lengthen. And again, just gaze underneath that shoulder. Just sit out, you feel it a little bit in the back of the shoulder, feel it a little bit through the waist. And return to center. Okay, sit the crown of the head nice and tall, sink the shoulder blades down the spine. Focus on that strength of breath through the belly. And again, we want to lengthen that breath. Remember, breathing has a nice calming effect. And that's what we want to work with in today's practice. Okay, let's take a little twist now. So we're going to take hands over heart, take a deep breath in, reach up. Don't worry which way you twist. You can mirror me or oppose me, it's whichever you wish. But we're just going to take a twist over to one side. Make sure one hand sits behind the back, placed onto the mat. One hand across to the opposite knee. Look over the back shoulder, sit the spine tall. And then again, hands over heart into prayer. Breathe in, reach as high as we can. And then as we breathe out, take a twist right the way over to the other side. Look over the shoulder, nice twist. Sit the spine nice and tall. Let's do that again. So hands over heart. Sink the shoulder blades. Breathe into mountain pose. We reach as high as we can. And then we breathe out. We step over to one side. Look over the shoulder. Return to center again. Breathe in. Just reach as high as we can. Lengthen. And as we breathe out, we step over to the other side. We look over the shoulder. We lengthen. Okay, we finally take one more deep breath in. I'm just going to remove from my block for a second. I want you to search fingertips into the air, and then as we breathe out, bow the head. I want you to just settle down. If you can, place the forearms down onto the mat, bow the forehead. Just for a moment, lengthen the spine. Okay, now let's return to our mat. So we're going to roll over to knees, and like we've done sometimes before, we're just going to mobilize the hips a little bit here. If you have a block, place it to the top of your mat, because we're going to be using that soon as we go through releasing the backs of the legs. Now we're going to place both knees underneath the hips, hands underneath the shoulders, and we're going to mobilize the hips first of all. So we're just going to bring the left knee in towards us, and we're going to search it behind. Now as we search it behind, I don't want you to twist your hip open, so I want you to keep the hips parallel to the mat. Draw the knee into the chest. This time bring the chin in as well, and then send the heel as high as we can. Try to stay with the heel and not with the toe. Bring the knee into the chest, and then finally search back, lead back with the heel. Okay, root the heel down to the mat. Palms underneath the shoulders, relax through the spine. Make sure head, heart, hips are all aligned. Draw the right knee into the chest and then search it behind us. So we're just mobilizing the hips, waking them up. Draw the knee into the chest. Bring the chin in for the second time and then bring the heel back towards us. Remember, hips pointing down to the mat, parallel to that. Draw the knee into the chest and take it up one final time. Okay, root the knees. Separate the fingertips, and I want you to really press through palms now. As we lengthen the spine down, look forward, take a breath in. Breathe out, and as we go to cow pose, tuck the chin into the chest, push through palms, hollow the tummy in nice and tight, and really bow and open the spine, separating the shoulder blades. Let the spine roll all the way forward. Take a nice deep breath in, look forward. As we breathe out, chin into the chest, hollow the tummy, and then lengthen, really pushing through the palms. So we just begin to separate the shoulder blades, hang out there for a minute. Again, breathe in, roll the spine all the way forward. Take a breath, and as we breathe out, chin into the chest, push through palms, hollow the tummy, lift as high as we can. Let's return to center. So we have heart, head, hips. Try to remove that arch or rounding of the spine. Curl the tailbone in, suck the tummy in nice and tight. And then let's just engage the toes behind us. As we take a deep breath in and look forward, we're going to take a deep breath out, roll over toes, lift hips into the air into our down dog. Now into down dog, I want you to pedal for a moment. We're not going to take us through our salutation today, so we're not going to take us through a sun salutation as such. We are going to use elements of the sun salutation just to make sure we warm up. But predominantly our practice today, remember, is about breath, it's about calmness, and just gently unwinding the backs of the legs. So to do that, what I want you to now do is walk to the back of our mat, and then I want you to take our heels so they're shoulder width apart. Now I'm going to come to the center of the mat just so you can see me head on. So we have our feet shoulder width apart. I want you to take a deep breath in, and then as you breathe out, I want you to bow the head. Now if you can, place palms of hands onto the mat. If you can't, I want you to just gently extend through the knees, take hold of the backs of the knees, bow the head, and let the shoulders begin to separate. If we can hold onto the heels, fantastic. If we can wrap our index finger round our big toe, then I want you to do so, and then press the thumb down onto the nail. Bow the head, and let's just open us up just a little bit, not too much. Now this is the first point where I want you to focus on how the backs of the legs feel. So we can breathe. I want you to really separate the shoulder blades. We feel that bit of a release now for the hamstrings. Now what you should begin to experience is that rather than the muscle just feel tight, it feels almost like springy, spasmy, like it's tensing back against you. Now that kind of highlights what we were saying at the start of practice, about that we want to focus on breathing. So that spasm, that conflict, that resistance, we can't negate that, and we can't get rid of that by pushing, by force. We need to attach a breath to it. We need to calm the nervous system down. As we calm the nervous system down, you relax. That spasm, that contraction, that force, that will begin to release. It will subside, and that's what our practice is about today. So let's begin that now. So now what I want you to do is heel-toe your feet together. So now, feet are placed inside hip width apart, and I want you to turn the left toe outward. So we're going to turn the left toe out about 45 degrees. We're going to step the right foot forward. Now we're going to open our stance up maybe 2 feet. So as we open our stance up 2 feet, what I want us to do is take a slight bend of the right knee, look forward, take a breath in, and then as we breathe out, I want you to bow the head down. Now if you can't reach palms of the hands down onto the floor, don't worry about that. Remember, some of us will have our block that we can press our hands onto, but if it still feels uncomfortable, just take both hands onto the knee, that's absolutely fine. And what I want to focus on is your eyes look down towards your toes, so we lengthen the spine down, we hollow the tummy tight, and now I want you to close your eyes and I want you to breathe. Now as you begin to breathe here, I want you to think again of how it feels for the backs of the legs. Now as you begin to breathe, it's so important that you don't push, you don't have a forced movement, but that as you close your eyes, I want you to focus and breathe through the back of the hamstring, through the back of the leg. Very important that the hips are parallel to the mat. And if you close your eyes, while I'm not expecting that pain, that feeling to completely disappear from the back of the right leg, it will subside, it will ease. I want you to breathe. Just let it begin to work its way out. A few more breaths. And we relax. Okay, as we bend the right knee, we're going to turn the left toe forward, step the right leg back, walk our hands back. Take a breath in and look forward, and then as we breathe out, gentle forward fold. So we can hold onto the backs of the legs. We can fold over forearms if we wish, and just let the body begin to hang and open up. Okay, let's do the same on the other side. So we're going to open the toes of the right foot now, 45 degrees. Step the left leg forward, maybe 1.5 feet to half pyramid pose. And then your hips, twist them forward so they are parallel to the mat. Again, slight bend of the left knee. We can take a breath in, look forward, breathe out. If you can straighten the left leg, then fantastic. And we can bow the head down. Now again, we're not pushing, we're not forcing the movement. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to breathe through the hamstring. So I want you to release that muscle and we just focus on that breath. I want it to begin to release. Now as we lengthen that tissue, remember that spasm, that contraction, that conflict, that tension. We can't release that by pushing, by force. As with all things we talk about in the universe, force creates force, war creates war. And that's the same with your muscle tissue. Breathe, relax. When the muscle begins to calm, your nervous system begins to calm down, the tissue just begins to release and open. And that's what we want here. So still with that breath, bowing our head. Still breath. Okay, we can bend the knee. Let's both walk both feet back to the edge of our mat. Breathe in, look forward, and then breathe out. Again, let's go to a nice forward fold. Hollow the tummy if we can, belly down onto the thighs. Don't worry about straightening the legs for now, because I want a slight bend of the knees. It just means it begins to release higher up into the hips for us. And then I want us to hug the backs of the thighs, hold the elbows and bow the head. So the spine can begin to bow and bend. We can relax. Just take a big hug to those muscles, breathe in. Okay, let's begin to open our stance. We're going to open our toes, roll down to our heels, place knees a little bit wider than hips, toes point behind us, and we're going to open us up into child's pose. Now in child's pose, I want you to open the pelvis up, slide the palms of the hands down, and I want you to bow the head. Now in child's pose, often we don't talk about the movement through the spine, and I want movement through the spine here. Child's pose is fantastic for opening up inside the thighs and also releasing the spine, but also calming our breath as well. And remember, we're all about peace. We're all about calmness. So I want you to breathe in, fully inflate the lungs. Let the spine really round and then breathe out. Let it all go. And again, we breathe in. Fully inflate the lungs and then breathe out. Let it all go. Once more, breathe in. All the way in, all the way in, all the way in, and breathe out. Relax. Palms of hands down onto the mat. Let's walk our feet. Again, we're going to return back to our box. We just had that little bit of release, that calmness return to us. Roll over toes back into down dog. This time we're going to push through palms into down dog. We're going to have a slight bend of the knees. So I want your heels to lift just slightly. I want your head to just nicely relax. Take a breath in, bend the knees, bring the belly to the thighs, breathe out, push through palms, root the heels down to the mat, really lengthen on that side. And as we bend the knees, I want you to look forward and I want you to walk to the head of your mat. Breathe in, look forward, breathe out, nice forward fold. Breathe in, look forward to straighten the spine, we open arms up by our side, we stand, and palms rooted by our side, perfect. Okay, let's come to the center of our mat. So as we come to the center of our mat, remember our focus, releasing, unwinding the back of the legs, and it will help us later on with some of our floor sequences, which are really challenging actually. So, final two standing postures that I want us to unwind with today. We're going to separate our stance. Now you can lengthen your stance as much as you wish here, just play with it a little bit. Please be careful, make sure the room that you are is quite warm. Try not to overstretch if you're particularly in a cold area. And then what I want you to do is focus on your hips. Now I often talk about this particularly within yoga, but within all our exercise videos as well actually. So as we mentioned at the start, remember we're sat down. We're in these stressed positions all the time. So your body might not feel stressed sat on the couch or sat at work, but it is. This tissue here, this psoas, this muscle's always shortening. Hamstring muscle's always being stretched and lengthened, so it creates that spasm. So what I want us to do is open the stance. Take your pelvis from pointing here to pointing towards me on the screen. So flick the pelvis, bit of an Elvis thrust with the hips. So we're going to bring the ribcage and pelvis closer to one another. Okay, that alone for many of us will begin to open up here. Hip flexors just begin to unwind. We feel that. So really curl that tailbone under. Bum can begin to lift. We feel that little bit of release. I want you to sink the shoulder blades right down the spine, right the way down. Tuck the chin back and lift the crown of the head. So we feel a strength here because we're curling the rib pelvis under and we're pulling the rib cage down. I feel a strength within my tummy. Okay, so we're going to release back to the legs once more. We're going to reach, take a breath in, and then we're going to open heart, and then we're going to bow the head to a forward fold. Now, if we can't reach the floor, don't worry again, bring your block into play, or just fold over forearms to begin with. Now, I know my forearms are going to come all the way down to the mat, but don't feel that you need to do that. I just want you to breathe and relax. Wherever we feel suspended by, that's fine. What I don't want you to do is bounce and push. I want you to just unwind and just breathe. Remember, this is all about patience. It's all about peace. It's about unwinding the body, having that little bit of a release for the backs of the legs. Okay, I want you to breathe in, look forward. As you breathe out, I want you to crawl over to the right heel. And then I want you to take hold of the heel or the knee and just take a twist. Now, this is a really challenging posture if you're new to practice. But I want you to breathe. I want you to focus on the back of the legs. And that little bit of lengthening that we can do there. Bring the heart towards the knee. Breathe. That's good. We're just beginning to unwind the back of that leg. Really good. Keep breathing. Close your eyes. Just lengthen. Remember, as we begin to feel that release as we subside, just let the muscle lengthen. Okay, return to center. Take a deep breath in. Fold over forearms again and just hang out. Just hang out. For many of us, that might feel a little bit uncomfortable in the lower back and the backs of the legs. If it feels painful, release. If not, just breathe. Let it unwind really high into the hips. Nice, long, deep breaths. Return to center, take a deep breath in. We can look forward, and as we breathe out, let's take ourselves over to the other side. And then bring the heart to the knee again. You don't need to hold on to the ankle. You can take a gentle twist holding onto the knee too. But what I want you to do is just resist releasing from this for now. I know it's very challenging, but I want you to breathe. Bring the heart towards the thigh. Just nice, deep breaths, really calming. Deep breaths, relax. And return to center. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, I want you to heel toe the feet together. So let's just heel toe, peel them all together. Toes facing forward. Bring our feet together, have them facing towards the front of the room. Fold over forearms, slight bend of the knees, and just unwind. Just let it all hang out. So gently push through the heels, lift the hips into the air. And again, return to those deep breaths. Just slowly allow the body to relax, unwind that little bit more. Two more nice, long, deep breaths. Okay, palms down to the mat, and rather than straighten the spine, I want you to actually peel us now. I want you to feel all that movement through the spine. Okay, and then I want you to plug the fingertips in. I want you to begin to draw the head back so it sits over the heart. Curl the tailbone under, find that strength within us. Take a breath in, breathe in, reach up, and then breathe out. Hands over heart into prayer. Okay. Hopefully we've made peace a little bit with the backs of the legs. Now we can lower down to the mat. Let's return back to our floor routine where we'll draw our practice to a close. So very challenging once more that we're going to end with. So this is a brilliant way of hopefully drawing now strength and attention towards the bum. Hips and back to the legs. Remember, they're very aggravated, and we've worked predominantly with the hamstrings, just slowly beginning to unwind them, just using 3 asanas. That's all we've done. Now we're going to bring in a new posture, so a new asana where we're going to work on the strength to the bum. So first of all, with our bridge, now we're going to bend the knees. Let me just move this block out of the way. Let's bend the knees and bring the backs of the heels towards the fingertips. Knees shoulder width apart. We're going to curl the tailbone under, bring ribcage and pelvis together. Take a breath in. As we breathe out, we're going to lift the hips into the air. Now again, because of tightness, particularly here, so not weakness of the bum whatsoever, but because of tightness to your hip flexors, it means we're quite restricted from pushing the hips up. That will actually stop the bum muscle beginning to work. So it's going to inhibit the work of the bum muscle. So what we need to do is push through the heels, lift the hips nice and high, and then try to flick the tailbone under, like we did that Elvis flexor, flick the tailbone under. And what you should begin to find is that you have strength towards the abs. We feel a release here. As we push even higher, we should feel the bum muscle begin to work. Don't be alarmed if you feel it in the backs of the legs, that's okay. Hopefully that's becoming less prevalent. But just breathe, and I want you to now close your eyes and let your mind sit here. So think of the bum. Tense it, squeeze it. Let all your strength and attention draw there. It begins to ignite, it'll begin to work for us. So I just want you to remain there, lifting even higher. For those who can, we can take fingertips into a clasp, lock behind our back. We can lift hips higher into the air. And we can just begin to feel that strength now seeping into the bum. Make sure the knees don't bow out. Make sure the hips don't fall too low. Release from clasp. Hug one of the knees in. And then when the back feels stable, bring the second one in. Just gently round the lower spine. Sway it from side to side. Okay, let's take that on to a little bit of a modified bridge. So, heels back onto the mat. Backs of heels touching the fingertips nice and tight. Curl the tailbone under, lift hips into the air, but let's float a leg into the air. Now as we float a leg, I don't want the heel to drop. I want you to use the strength through the thigh, curl the toe back towards us. And then I want you to lower the hips down, push through the heel, lift as high as we can. I want you to start 3 times. So lower it down, push through the heel on this side and lift the bum higher. One final time, lower down, and then lift right the way up. Perfect. Bring us down. Let's hug both knees in. Gently sway them. Both heels again onto the ground. Curl the tailbone under as we lift the hips up. Let's take the other leg into the air. Try to straighten through the leg. Let's lower the hips. Push through the heel. Lift right the way up. Breathe in, lower down. And then lift right the way up on our exhalation. Final time. Breathe in, lower. And all the way up till we lift. Lower down. Hug the knee. Hug the knee. Gently sway from side to side. Okay, let's unlock once more. Soles of feet down. Let's take hold of our left knee. Tuck the heel against the thigh and just gently open up that pelvis. Try to make sure that we don't twist the entire body so hips stay parallel. As the knee tucks in, we just can begin to open it up. We feel a bit of a release in and around the piriformis. It's a nice lengthener there for us. Just want you to take 2 or 3 breaths here. Try to increase it. For those who feel they can do so, feel free to bring the thigh in as well. So it just creates a little bit more force and it begins to open up the pelvis a bit more. Hug that knee, mobilize it. So gentle circles, place it down onto the mat, take hold of the right knee, take it across the left. Gently ease the hip open, make sure we don't twist the spine. And then again, if we feel comfortable to do so, take hold of the thigh and just work against that hip. So we can breathe, it just begins to open up and you can feel a muscle called our piriformis then begin to unlock. We've actually spoken about this in a few other videos that we've done, but today it's just an afterthought almost. Okay, bring both knees together, gently sway from side to side. And let's extend through both knees. Separate the heels a little wider than hips, palms facing up. We're going to bring our index finger and thumb together. Relax our other 3 fingers. And I want you now to take 2 or 3 really deep breaths again. Close your eyes. Deep breath in and deep breath out. Second breath, this time breathing through the belly. Now the rib cage. Now the lungs. And slow breath out. Continue out. And again, deep breath in through the belly. The rib cage, the lungs, and breath out. Press your lips together, and I want you to do that 2 more times. Breathe in through the belly, fill there, fill the rib cage, fill the lungs, and breath out. and breathe in. Rib cage. And now lungs. And breath out. Okay, I just want you to have a few moments like we did at the start of practice. Return to that stillness. I want you to relax your entire body. I want you to feel that entire body begin to just melt down into the mat. As you continue to breathe, I want you to allow all our thoughts to just gently pass. Just as we spoke at the start of practice about making peace with muscles, so too we want to allow that gift to our mind. We continue to breathe and we just let go. If thought begins to enter our mind of family or friends or others, that's fine. Just don't focus on it, don't dwell on it, just breathe. And let go. I want you to move fingertips, move toes, roll wrists, roll ankles, hug one knee nice and tight towards the belly, and then that will bring the other one forward with it, and then just gently sway the spine. Still keeping that same breath, nice clear open minds, eyes closed. Roll over towards your right shoulder. Place your left hand underneath the side of your head. Keep the knees nice and bent and tucked in. And again, we have 3 deep breaths here. Okay, let's make our way back to the head of our mat. Let's bring our block into play. And let's end our practice. So we're going to bring our block into play because it's going to, again, lift us up aloft, help us erect the spine, cross over heels, sit the spine nice and tall. Okay, let's sink the shoulder blades down into the spine, curl the tailbone under. And now, I don't want you to feel this floaty, very passive sort of feeling. Peace is about feeling calm, mind decluttered, just not having stress to the tissue. It's not about weakness whatsoever. It's not this floatiness that we often assume. It's actually your strongest state of mind. A peaceful mind is the one that's the most strongest, the most focused on something. And it's the same with our physical tissue. So I want you to relax the shoulders down, curl the tailbone under, erect the spine nice and tall. And I want you to have that sense of alertness. So we feel every single part of our body alert, but they're not stressed. They're at peace, they're calm, they're strengthened. Press the palms down nice and tightly onto the knees. And then as we often do, let's end our practice with one Om. Now, if you haven't done an Om before, you don't need to be embarrassed because you're on your own at home. But Om, we often use Om within yoga practice, particularly to end our practice or to begin our practice, because the way in which it resonates a vibration into the body. So you don't have to think about the spiritual connotations or anything like that. But this noise and the vibration that that sound makes calms the body. It stills the mind, it focuses us. And again, that was our intention at the start of practice. So have a go of it. You'll feel it resonate and you'll feel a vibration through your lungs, and then you'll feel a vibration, a tingling sensation on your lips. That does have a calming effect on our bodies. So hands over heart into prayer. Press the thumbs against our heart. We take a deep breath in. And then as soon as you can, you join in with me. Namaste. Thank you for joining us today. We hope to see you soon. Take care.